Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Monday. It is officially over. The 2025-2026 NFL season has come to a conclusion. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks. What a dominant performance by them. They absolutely smacked the New England Patriots at Levi Stadium last night in San Francisco. And so the Seahawks win their second Super Bowl championship. Very much earned, very much deserved. But now we have to talk about lessons to learn from both Super Bowl participants. For the local professional football team, who maybe doesn't feel as far away from the Super Bowl as they did a calendar year ago, maybe you feel confident about the progress of Cam Ward. Maybe you feel better about the direction of the franchise under Mike Borgonzi. Maybe you're all in on the idea of Robert Salah as the Titans head coach. Whatever you're feeling about the Tennessee Titans is, you understand that they have a long way to go before they can be in the position to even get their asses kicked like the Patriots did in a Super Bowl. Maybe you think that the Patriots were there off dumb luck. Perhaps that's fair. It will be interesting to see what happens to New England moving forward, because they will go from the easiest schedule in the NFL to certainly a first-place schedule. And everyone will have seen them coming, and their draft position is not going to be overwhelmingly helpful to help them address the many needs that their roster still has. That's what made this situation so surprising for New England. The fact that they really had no business being there this early, and yet they've found a way, both through the schedule and through their own, frankly, their own success. I mean, they made a lot of their success. They beat up on those teams. They won a ton of games, and I think only had all of their losses came within 3 points, if I'm not mistaken, this year, the New England Patriots. So there was a lot to learn from both of these teams in how you want to see the Titans build this thing moving forward, understanding that the Titans are not in a totally similar situation, or a very different situation, frankly, from the Seahawks, who won it, and are more closely in the situation that the Patriots are in, despite not knowing much about what the Titans situation at quarterback will become, and understanding that Drake May went from a player who had one win to his name. I know that Patriots team won 4 games, but he was not the starting quarterback for the majority of them. And that he, for the wins rather, and that Drake May become all of a sudden a Super Bowl, or rather an MVP runner-up to Matt Stafford, who, saw his inexperience exposed glaringly last night. So we can talk about all of these different things moving forward, and the lessons that the Titans can learn. We will get to a little bit of In Case You Missed It with Robert. We'll talk about the Super Bowl commercials. He's got a few things prepared for all of you, and we will enjoy each other's company in the meantime. Share the broadcast around on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. It's going to be a huge NFL offseason here in Tennessee. We are going to have all manner of different coverage. As I mentioned to you, we're taking the whole radio show up to the Combine. Robert has been working diligently to make sure that we have excellent guests. We do expect to have Robert Salah and Mike Borgonzi both on the show. Greg Cosell will obviously be up there every day. We are also hoping to be joined by several of our other friends who will be in attendance at the Combine, like Diana Rossini and Todd McShay and all manner of other smart NFL people who will be able to inform us about both the draft prospects and the news cycle, because, of course, this will be it's not quite the precursor to free agency technically, but it is a huge portion of the free agent conversations getting underway, starting in Indianapolis in 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks until we all ship up to Indy, which is going to be a great time had by all, and a very informative time had by all. So share the broadcast around. We'll look forward to your participation. We'll go ahead and get this bad boy started. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the T-Dot Studios, where the Tennessee Department of Transportation does remind you that you can be a part of the solution to end littering at NobodyTrashesTN.com. By Simon Says Nashville, who had a very successful one-year anniversary party this weekend. You can go check out all of their great clothing options at SimonSaysNashville.com. By Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Online at tworiversford.com for more details today. Okay, so you have the Patriots and you have the Seahawks, and we understand that Seattle, who finished as the number one overall seed in the NFC this year, who was in the best division in football in the NFC West this year, who went wire to wire as I think the best team in football, understanding that you could probably pick and choose. I would hear the argument for the Rams, just given the fact that Matt Stafford is the quarterback over Sam Darnold. But to Sam Darnold's credit, he wasn't spectacular last night by any stretch of the imagination. 19 of 38, 202, and a touchdown. The vast majority of that coming in the second half of this game when the Patriots were just unable to do anything on offense. It's kind of crazy that Drake May damn near had 300 yards passing because they had just nothing going for them throughout the course of that game. But as we talk about lessons to be learned from both of these franchises that participated in the Super Bowl, because no matter whether you were rooting for or against New England or for or against Seattle, you understand that those teams did have success in getting themselves to the final game. Seattle able to put themselves over the top ultimately. So looking at these two teams, understanding that both are in different situations, the Patriots more similar to the Titans, or the Titans have a better chance to replicate what the Patriots did, given their situation heading into next season and what the Patriots did with this past offseason. What is the biggest lesson that you took that the Titans can apply from Super Bowl 60? Let me know in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. We always welcome your participation. As always, your Two Rivers Ford take is made possible by the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Two Rivers Ford, quality American-made Ford vehicles, award-winning customer service. They always make sure that the price you see is the price that you pay. You'll never get to the dealership and find a bunch of unexpected add-ons, because there are dealerships that do that. In fact, Two Rivers gets a lot of business based off the fact that people are dissatisfied with their previous car buying experience and seeking out honest and integrity-based process when it comes to the sales team that they have. The sales team is also non-commissioned at Two Rivers Ford, which means you feel no pressure on you throughout the course of the car buying process. They are honest, transparent, and real, all of which make them the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Online at tworiversford.com. So, lessons to be learned at this point in time from the two Super Bowl teams. Jonathan Ertl says defense wins championships. CJ Young parrots the same thing. Jimmy Chestnut basically says some version of that. A quarterback pressure to pressure the quarterback that way, to bully a quarterback the way that Drake May was bullied last night. You need a nasty defensive line, not just one all-star player, which they do have in Jeffrey Simmons. There's a couple of different lessons to be taken from this, because the Patriots drafted their quarterback organically. Seattle bought and paid for their quarterback, right? And Seattle had a roster that was molded in Mike Macdonald's image. Mike Macdonald is in his second season coaching this team. He helped, his fingerprints are all over that defense with the acquisitions that they made. It's a very, very effective unit, coordinated by one of the best play callers, offense or defense, in the NFL right now. Mike Macdonald is a bit of a wizard. I think, and I this is revisionist history, right? Because the Patriots are the path that the Titans have more ability to follow than the Seahawks, right? They can't go out and pay for a quarterback who's on his, at this point, fifth stop in Seattle, who's got a wealth of experience, who can put them over the top on a roster that's ready to win, right? The roster is the real reason why the Titans are in this situation that they've been in for the last couple of years. You can talk about Mike Vrabel, you can talk about Brian Callahan, but there's no question at the end of the day, the biggest lesson to be taken away is, well, Seattle just had better players than New England did. Seattle immediately overmatched New England, and New England was benefited by their easy schedule, by their path to the postseason, where Justin Herbert couldn't do anything. C.J. Stroud was a disaster, and Jarrett Stidham was the starting quarterback in the AFC Championship game, right? Like, all of those things did conspire to help put New England in position to succeed. Now, to New England's credit, and I do think that they deserve credit, they took advantage of all those situations. They were undefeated on the road in the NFL this year. I don't care how easy the schedule was. That is a huge, huge accomplishment. It is still professional football. They're not out here beating up on, Old Dominion or Kent State, right? These are still professional football teams, even if they are the likes of, for example, on the Patriots schedule, the Titans, the Dolphins, all these other the Jets twice a year, right? Bottom feeder type teams that the Patriots were able to feast on successfully. They still did it with success. They could have been an 8-win team against that middling schedule. Instead, they were a 14-win team and then rattled off 3 straight wins and went undefeated on the road this season. I don't think that you can, in a blanket statement, say that defense wins championships, because Kenneth Walker was also a pivotal part of that performance by Seattle last night. Now, I think the value of defense and the value of the run game to support your quarterback, to where Sam Darnold doesn't have to be the superhero in the Super Bowl that way. I understand that if you pay your franchise quarterback, or if you draft your guy like the Titans did number 1 overall, you want that guy to be a superhero at points. Sam Darnold had his superhero performance. It just came in the the NFC championship game, rather. Sam Darnold was more passenger princess last night. It was closer to Russell Wilson's Super Bowl win than it was to Sam Darnold having to air it out and throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns and all these different things. You don't want to put your quarterback in a almost exclusively drop back game. Yes, it's ugly and gritty and dirty to win the way that the Seahawks, not dirty in the sense that it's unfair, or they're using some kind of unfair advantage, or whatever, however you would categorize it, but like just kind of muck it up, right? To grind an opponent down. It was 9-0 at halftime. The Seahawks offense was not struggling as much as the Patriots, but was struggling by a considerable amount. And yet Kenneth Walker just kept picking up these dirty yards, and the Seahawks defense kept compiling 3-and-outs. And it ended up being a hugely successful formula to where Sam Darnold just had to not make critical mistakes, and he did avoid critical mistakes in that particular situation. I thought he threw at least one interceptable pass last night that ultimately they did not capitalize on, to the credit of the Patriots defense. I thought they played a really, really good game. That was brutal to watch. Drake May and that offensive line, just Will Campbell, 14 pressures allowed in an NFL in any NFL game this season. It's the most by any NFL single offensive lineman by a mile. 14 quarterback pressures allowed by one player, and that's your 4th overall pick at left tackle. It's a really, really tough spot. And again, it speaks to the Patriots probably being there before they were ready to be there. Now, they may never get back to the Super Bowl in this particular situation. That might have been their best shot, which is why I'm surprised that they got their teeth kicked in as badly as they did, because you never know. The Super Bowl windows are things that are talked about, but you understand how it's damn near impossible, unless you're Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, to get back to Super Bowls with regularity. That's what makes those two so impressive. And people like Joe Burrow kind of fleeting, and we'll see what happens with Drake May. Sam Darnold may never get there again, right? Seattle's going to start losing. They lost their play caller to the Oakland Raiders, or the Vegas Raiders today, who's going to be the head coach there. They're going to lose. They're probably going to lose Kenneth Walker in free agency this year. There's a lot of different things to pick apart, and that will probably cost Seattle an opportunity to repeat. It's almost impossible in these situations, but still, there are lessons to be learned here. So, first and foremost, it starts with the personnel. The roster is the biggest reason that the Patriots were dismantled by the Seahawks. The roster by Seattle is just significantly better. The other part of this, and I have a Robert Salah clip to go along with this, even though it's not necessarily about the Super Bowl, is I saw a tweet from Mike Sando that I thought was very poignant about these two teams, even understanding that one was significantly more talented than the other. Mike Sando is one of the lead NFL writers for The Athletic, and he put this tweet out there before the Super Bowl took place. One thing you feel with both of these Super Bowl teams is the authentic leadership from their coaches. I get the strong sense that nearly all coaches and players for these teams genuinely believe Mike Vrabel and Mike McDonald have their best interests at heart and can make them better. Those are key components to bringing people together for a common cause. So you have the tangible of the roster, and you have the intangible of belief. I don't know if anybody would disagree with that. I think Seattle was 100% bought in, and Mike McDonald may be one of the best play callers in the sport, bar none, offense or defense. He was awesome. He's been awesome all year long. He was, again, awesome last night. Mike Vrabel is a different type of coach, right? He's not a play caller in that sense, but there is no question, and I think Titans fans would acknowledge this, he would, with regularity, put players in the best possible position to succeed because both Mikes genuinely care about the people that they're working with and want to see them succeed beyond just, trying to grab at the ultimate glory of the Super Bowl. And that was something that Robert Salah brought up. And I think this is a central theme. This needs to be a central theme to any NFL organization. But to put Salah's voice to it in his introductory press conference at least gives you a look at what that should be for the Titans under his leadership.
Back to people, bringing in people who are capable of executing the vision of the entire organization. We're going to preach effort. We're going to preach strain. We're going to preach violence. We want great character individuals both on and off the field. And that's where Borgo and I, in terms of evaluations, is for checking the box on making sure that these young men are actually capable of doing that. That's what builds culture. And we'll always maintain that standard. We're going to, obviously, with the, I've always said that the best coach teams are the teams that coach themselves, but in the beginning, it's going to come from us. And at a certain point, as this team becomes veteran and it takes off and it understands what the standard is, the players will maintain the standard. And at the end of the day, the standard will always be the standard. But it starts with people.
So player-led is always the thing that coaches come back to. But to Salah's point, they have to institute what that is. This place has been bereft of culture, of genuine leadership from the top. That was the biggest. That and in-game management. Those were the two biggest glaring issues in the post-Mike Vrabel world where Brian Callahan took over. Brian Callahan is I think he cares genuinely. I think he is also somebody who wants to put players in the best possible position to succeed. I think that his style is more what you're accustomed to seeing from offensive coordinators. It's laid back, probably isn't a fair assessment of it, but it's a little more passive than it is aggressive. And it is a little less attention grabbing and a little less, demanding of accountability, even though I know that Brian demanded accountability. It's just I don't know. It feels unfair to say that I don't think this was unfair. They just didn't take him as seriously. And ultimately, whether Brian was just never had that in his bag or was trying to manufacture that, the authenticity of that is something that never really rang true through the organization for most importantly, the players. Jeff Simmons did a lot of that on his own. He had to learn how to do that, right? And he had to go through a bunch of shit to do it. And I give Jeff a ton of credit, as should Titans fans. But the creating that standard and actually being able to hold players accountable that way, which is not something that Robert Salah did well in New York. And it's not just Jets Twitter that will tell you that. I've talked to a lot of people that worked in New York that covered Salah with the Jets. And again, the Aaron Rodgers factor, how anybody, especially in their first NFL coaching gig, was going to be able to hold Aaron Rodgers accountable at that stage of his career was probably a failing proposition. And I think Salah should be graded on the curve of the Jets are rotten on a number of different fronts, and very few people, look at Aaron Glenn, for God's sakes, almost nobody is going to succeed with the New York Jets given their current state of ownership and a lot of the mismanagement that happens there. To compound it with the Rodgers thing was a losing proposition from the start, even though that was their all-in move, right? That was their Super Bowl move, and it blew up in their faces. So what you ultimately see from Salah is something talking about the accountability that he has yet to prove that he's capable of. He'll have to do better here than he did in New York. I think it should be easier for him to do here than it was in New York for a variety of different reasons. But he still has to get the job done. And that starts with the head coach coming into a locker room that's very young and is going to be going to have a lot of formative minds. Hopefully they have a lot of formative minds in there that can then bleed through to the locker room, and then the locker room polices itself. Those are the best versions of teams. And then the idea of a defensive play caller just won the Super Bowl for the first time as a head coach. That's Mike McDonald. So now Salah is going to do that. And Salah is going to be, it's going to be interesting to see how people balance things and manage things around Salah, so that he can do the job of a defensive play caller while still managing the obligations of challenges and timeouts, being aware while still coaching guys up on the defensive side of the ball. It's going to be a tricky balance, and Mike Macdonald was very adept at it. Well, I don't know. I would be surprised if Salah is ever as good as Mike Macdonald, but this is another opportunity for him to get better, for him to grow from his initial experience. And that was also something that he talked about at his introductory press conference. We'll get to that here in just a second. A quick reminder that the Tennessee Department of Transportation presents you with the opportunity to be a part of the solution to end littering. Nothing makes me crazier than litter. I think people that litter are terrible people. I think that you can be a good person and be a part of the solution to end littering by getting involved with Nobody Trashes Tennessee, a great initiative by the Tennessee Department of Transportation. Awesome volunteer opportunities for you to help out in your environment and your community. NobodyTrashesTN.com is where you go. So Robert Salah asked about something that he would do differently, brought up the idea of calling the defensive plays.
The lessons you learned from New York. I'm curious, what are some of the specific things that you plan to do differently or you intend to do differently than obviously the
I don't know
Jets
if we have time, man.
Let's start us off with some big ones.
There's little things, I don't want to get in great detail on all that stuff, just for sake of just individuality and all that. But just one thing, and it's such a small thing. I didn't call plays in New York, and I just kind of gave it all to the coordinators, even though we were still part of the game planning and all that. I joke with Borgo on game day when I didn't call plays. I felt like I was just a timeout and red flag guy. I was just kind of I had the greatest seat in the house as a fan. So calling plays for me, it's not necessarily about control, but it's about connecting with the players. When you are a play caller and you are calling plays, you feel the strain that you're putting on them with each call. You're feeling the connection. You're feeling what each one is going through. And again, like I said, I can feel the weight of the play call on individual players in those moments. And to be able to call plays and maintain that connection, maintain that feel for what the players are going through, I think is very, very important from my seat. And it's just one of the many things that'll change throughout my tenure.
Okay. So a couple of things to monitor with Robert Salah. Getting ready to obviously he's been running this thing or been hired now for, I don't know, it's like 2 weeks, a couple of weeks, a little more than 2 weeks at this point in time. And we really get into the shit now. We're full steam ahead with the pre-draft process. The combine is right around the corner. The draft and free agency and then the draft will be there very soon after. And Robert Salah, I really don't know what to expect. The Dable thing makes me cautiously optimistic about how much more competitive they can be, what that actually turns into for them. I have no idea. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this thing plays out as they continue to build. The most important part comes now with the personnel acquisition. The coaches are only good as the players that they have. And right now the players on the roster are, you understand what the Titans roster is. It's lacking in a great many areas. All right, Robert, what do we got? In case you missed it, we're going to do a little Super Bowl commercial coverage. He's turned his camera away from me, which makes me think that he's not there at this particular point in time, which is not ideal for this situation, but perhaps I'll do an ad read while we wait for Robert to make an appearance and do his regularly scheduled Monday segment. The primetime program is made possible by Simon Says Nashville. Simon Says Nashville is the premier men's clothing spot in Nashville. You can find them in Wedgwood, Houston. You can get all manner of great options to dress for success. You will feel like the best version of yourself when you go check out their store in Wedgwood, Houston. You can get great deals on all of their awesome clothing options. SimonSaysNashville.com for more details. Robert Walsh, have I bought you a sufficient amount of time?
Sorry, I was watching curling on with the Olympics, and it's just yeah. Oh, it's probably the reruns. I think it was from earlier today, but I'm just reminded that if you've ever watched curling and been like, "Damn, I could do that. I could curl. That shit's easy." You should come out Thursday from 10 to 6, we're going to be at T-Line and we're going to be curling. Yes, sir. We're going to be there. Blaine and Zach are going to be there. 3HL is going to be there. You
What do you mean?
You don't have no choice. You have to be out there because we're all competing against each other. We all are.
I will be there from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. That is the time that you have me for.
When are you going to curl if you're only staying during the show?
It's a great question.
Well, that's a disappointment. Unlike the commercials for the Super Bowl last night, I thought they were a little too sappy. Too many, Lay's potato chips. You can have the farm, honey. It's all yours. And then
That vibes.
Yeah, the dogs and the this and the that. But there were some good ones. My personal favorite also alleviated my worst fear. I've always been so scared of when I'm eventually going to have to go in and get my prostate checked. That doctor.
That was my favorite.
Someone is going to come in and be like, oh, whoop. And then you're waiting and they're like, all right, the doctor will be in a little bit. Like, who the hell are you? But anyway, relax your tight end. Novartis. I don't know how the hell you say it. Novartis. Well, either way, we're happy that we don't have to have fingers in our boots.
Have you ever in your life seen tight ends this relaxed?
I am so relaxed.
They're carefree, calm, serene. You know what these tight ends are so relaxed about? Prostate cancer screenings. They've learned there's a simple, finger-free blood test. Roughly 1 in 8 men would be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and I was one of them. I'm here today because I caught it early. Gronk, what'd I teach you?
Relax your tight end. Prostate cancer screening starts with a simple blood test.
Find out if a PSA blood test is right for you at relaxitsabloodtest.com. Let's do this.
That was my favorite for sure. It was awesome.
Pretty good.
That was
pretty
well done.
good. I have also heard that you could still get your booty checked if you'd prefer. Maybe some people were like, "Dang, I was looking forward to that." I think they can still do that for you.
Sure, I know plenty of people that have a proclivity.
Yeah, I also liked. I'm not going to play it, but Matthew McConaughey and paging Dr. Word. Like what's his name? What's that actor's name?
Oh, Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper. Yeah, they had a great Uber Eats commercial. But, to each their own. I hadn't even looked at the comments. Let's see what everybody else said. Bird having a prostate exam would be prime TV. Okay, that's it. The Ben Stiller commercial was pretty good. I
only caught half of that, and then I looked up and I saw Ben Stiller basically dressed as the Globo Gym guy falling off the stage, and that made me laugh. You know what got mixed reviews? The Coinbase karaoke commercial, because you and I were outside, and all three of us, me, you, and Lucas, and some other individuals were outside partaking in the lovely weather that we had last night.
The night air, yes.
Night air, breathing in the night air, as it were. And so we were looking through the garage glass door, or the glass door that led from the garage into the bonus room where everybody was watching the Super Bowl. And you picked up on the Backstreet Boys karaoke that was going on, and it just ended up being a Coinbase commercial. Apparently that got a lot. People were just very disappointed that Coinbase was anywhere near it.
It just didn't make sense to me. What I also didn't know is there were no words. Like, everyone else was just singing it.
Yeah.
Like, it's like when we were outside, I was singing it. Like, it had the intended effect. I'm sure people that had more women at their Super Bowl parties, probably the whole room was going crazy. But it was just odd. Also kind of pissed off that the Danny McBride commercial, I don't know.
Oh, I didn't see the McBride commercial.
Danny McBride and Michael Keegan, or Michael Keegan, whatever, Key and Peele guy. They were in like a
whatever.
Yeah, they were in an insurance commercial together, and I just wanted it to be a real show. But
It's because we just missed Danny McBride. Oh, Jermaine says smoking a joint. Yeah, we were doing drugs.
no. Halo Rail Fan 27 says the Bart Durham commercial with TD was good. TD is a Super Bowl commercial star. So is
cool.
Ron Slay,
Brent Doherty.
Brent Doherty.
Very cool. All right, very good. Get off my
You know
screen.
what? You don't just like hang out. We
Do you want to hang out? We
like
already
stay
hung
and
out.
watch the Olympics.
I
Me
just
and
don't,
you.
I don't trust you to point.
Are
your
we gonna
camera.
get popped for that? Are we gonna get popped?
I mean, it's better than your giant bong you had sitting in the office last night.
No! Stop that. Wrong-o. Wrong-o. Goodbye.
That's going to do it for us tonight. We appreciate your participation. As always, come hang out with us from 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone tomorrow with Robert, Lucas, with me. We'll have a great time, of course. We'll look forward to seeing you there and have a great rest of your evening in the meantime.
I mean, if we keeping a buck right now, we ass.